So we are moving on, as I said, and there is no doubt that raising funds is one of the most difficult objectives for a startup at the early stages. It is like almost like an art, but unlike with the oil painting, everyone could do it. It is just a matter of understanding the nature of the process. In order to shed light on what is really important to succeed in pre-seed and seed fundraising, we invited Efim Kolodkin, the CEO of Bash Today, a leading Russian venue marketplace. Please welcome him with his talk, How to Raise Seed Capital and Grow Your Startup. Efim, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. I hear you.
Thank you.
Do you see me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for the tour. It was lovely. May I share my screen now? Do you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Just you, yeah, it's great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Efim Kolodkin. I'm CEO, as I was introduced, of a venue marketplace, a place where you can find and book a venue, and where venues can manage the bookings and talk and have their relations with the clients and grow their business. So a little bit about my background. I finished my master's degree. There is some external sounds. Just mute. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I graduated as master in international management and in international communications, as well as urban planning in Moscow International University of Foreign Affairs, in business school of ICN in France, and in Rotterdam in Netherlands. Right after graduating, I had some internships in large Russian companies and in Moscow government. But then a friend of mine told me about his idea of the business, and it was the startup that we have opened. It was Bash Today. It's called, it still exists. We founded it in 2015. And we operate since then. Our annual turnover is more than $1 million US. Also last year, during the pandemics, we faced huge problems because the events were canceled and banned. So we opened a venue that helps to make online events, virtual and hybrid events. During the work that we made with the startup, with Bash Today, I happened to work with the 500 Startups Accelerator in the USA, in San Francisco, where I traveled actually and made some efforts with the external launch of our product. Then in 2019, we happened to take part in the first Russian American accelerator of Sberbank in 500 startups, where I met many experts, international experts, whom I found, and the information they gave me was really important for my for the future development of our company and for my personal development. And we also passed an accelerator of a huge Russian state venture company. In Russian it's called Free, and in English you may see the blue logo in the top of the presentation. So this is a little bit about my background, so you can understand what questions you may ask me, and I will be happy to answer to your questions. Also, you can send it in the chat during the presentation, and I will answer them after I finish. And my aim is to really help those of you who wish to launch their product and who wish to launch their startup and to raise funds, is to actually to make it. And so I will help you to give the understanding of what is like to raise the seed capital and the pre-seed capital, and what is like to approach investors, where can you find them, how should you talk to them, and what are the key points, of course, and the milestones. Of course, everything is specific in each case, and each case should be worked with manually and specifically developed. But there are general guidelines which I will tell you. Here I will skip some slides about the product, about my product, because I think that they are not so important. Let's talk about the general phases of investments in the venture capital that exist. First of all, it's the pre-seed stage. It's the stage where you actually don't have your normal product yet. You may have an MVP, but often you don't have any clients, and you don't have any metrics, or you have them, but they're really not big. You have only began your startup. So here it's the pre-seed stage, so-called pre-seed stage. Then when you have worked with this stage and found your product market fit, which is PMF, you come to the seed stage, where you already have your product, you have clients, you have sales, you have general metrics, and you can work further with your with the investments, and you need to attract new venture round, new capital to continue the growth of your seeds. Then it comes to the round A. It's often the time when you are ready to scale, when you are ready to grow faster, when you are ready to move geographically or vertically through the segments of the market. Then it comes to the round B, C, D. But here in our presentation, I will cover only the seed stage, and I will talk a little bit about pre-seed stage, which is often very similar, because now my startup is on a stage attracting round A, and I will tell you only the things that I happen to know through my practice during my business with the Bash today. Also, I should mention that I even invested on pre-seed stages in 2 startups. So I happen to be also an investor, and so I have the both sides of the situation. So if you are ready to get funding, if you want to raise money, and you understand that you are ready to go to the investor, you need to prepare several kinds of documents. I will say that it's important to prepare them beforehand, because when you actually begin to raise money, it should be a fast roadshow. So you shouldn't search for money through a long period of time. It should be short, and you should understand that all the documents should be prepared for that moment. Of course, often after each meeting with the potential investor, you receive feedback, and you make some updates to your documents, but generally they happen to stay in their initial form. So first of all, it is a blurb or a teaser. What is that? It's 3 or 4 lines of text which explain to the potential investor actually what is your idea, what is your startup. It's important to have the blurb also, because when you ask a friend to introduce you to some investor, you send a blurb to that friend, asking them to resend it to their the person potentially you want to become investor in your company. Also, a blurb is important for you to learn how to explain the idea of your startup in 2 or 3 lines. It's really a useful tool, even if you know what you are doing, but to explain to other people what is the idea of your startup. Then it's a so-called one-pager. The name says what is that. It's a one-paper document on which you cover all the basic information about your startup, about your team, about your company, about your metrics, about the inquiry for the round, what sum of money you want to raise. And also if you have a sophisticated technology, you may cover it in the one pager. So it shows an overview of your business, of your company, and it's useful for the investors which receive too many applications each day and they want to move fast. And one look on your one pager, it covers all the information and helps investor to take the initial decision to talk to you or to pass and don't talk to you. Next, it's a very important document, it's financial model. It's everyone understands that initially when a startup only begins its path, you won't have the financial model that will be realistic and will be 100% true, but it shows your understanding and your planning skills and the understanding of where you want to lead your company and what will be the spending of the potential funding. Then it's a pitch deck. A pitch deck is used when you want to show and tell about your startup, but not when you want the person to read it. When you want the person to read it and you want to send an email with the detailed information about your startups, about your metrics, all the graphs, all the numbers, about the team, about the product, about the problem. This is a memo, and I will cover more about the memo later in the presentation. So when it comes to the seed stage, it's often almost the same with the pre-seed stage. There are, of course, some differences. Because, for example, first of all, current metrics. If you don't have any sales yet, you can show on the pre-seed stage, you can show the potential pilots with the companies. You can show the pre-agreements that you have with the companies or with the potential customers if it's B2C. So you can always find metrics. If you don't have customers yet and you don't have even potential customers, you may show the metrics in terms of what you have done with the MVP, with the product, with the business so far. So to show the understanding to the potential investor that you have done your job, that you have worked through before coming to the meeting. Then you show the pace of growth. So how fast do you grow and what were the milestones during your road, during your way to this point. Then it's very important to show the scaling possibilities. So how do you plan to scale? Not only how do you plan, but to show maybe the examples of the comparable companies in the market that have shown the growth. If we talk about developing markets, often it's very important to compare the companies in the developing economies with the developed economies. So because the developed economies often show the trends that will happen to your economy as well. Then, of course, you show the unit economics. If it's seed stage, if it's pre-seed stage, you don't have unit economics. It often works when you don't have only 2 or 3 customers, but when you have 50 and more customers, because it works only when you have a number of transactions. And of course, you show the information and you develop the idea of how you have reached your customer. Did you have actually find your customer, and did you find a market to where you can further grow? Also, it's always good to show that you think for the future, not only for the 1 or 2 years to come, but for the future development of the startup. So you show that you will be unicorn and that you plan to grow your seats, to grow a company, and you may have one slide or one document that shows additionally all the possibilities of further growth. So let's cover the memo structure. Let's cover the memo structure. So the first slide will be the executive summary. You show all the milestones you have reached so far and where you want to come. Then you show the problem that you are solving, the solution to the problem, the results you have reached, the business model. Here you show the monetization model, that how do you earn, how do you monetize your product. You show the market size, and also it is very important to cover the market share that you already cover and the market share that you want to cover. It's important to demonstrate the competitors over you, the financial projection, and the roadmap, how you will use the funds, the team, and you show your request. Why do actually the investor reads the memo? Why it is important for him, and what will be his possibilities to take part in your company? When you have all the documents prepared, you are ready to start the fundraising process. So first of all, you should analyze the potential investors you want to approach, and you create a space, a board in Trello, for example, or in Excel or Google Sheets, where you make a list of all these potential investors. Then it's important to show that you have made your job and that you have worked and read about the investor. It's often useful to use LinkedIn or more often Facebook in Russia to see the mutual friends with the potential investor, to read his posts, what the investor is interested in, and then you ask your if you understand that this person you want to reach actually could be interested in you. You ask if you have mutual connections, friends, common friends. You ask them to make to introduce you, to tell about your startups. It is that at that moment that you use your blurb to ask your friend to send it to the potential investors you want to approach. And then, of course, you should train before pitching and pitch. Frankly saying, it's never, even if you trained 10 times, before you pitch it 3 or 4 times, it won't be good. But after pitching several times, you will prepare a good pitch. So talking about who may be the investor. First of all, it's 3F, so-called 3F. It's family, friends, and fools. It's the inner, the circle, the closest people to you that actually believe you, that trust you, because the most important thing before the market, the product, and all this stuff is if people can trust you, and those people trust you. So you share the idea with those people, and you analyze their reaction, and you may, at that point, you already can understand if people would like to invest in you. So it's the most common thing. The second common thing on the pre-seed stage, these are business angels, so people who often not professionally, but there are of course professional business angels, people who want to diversify their financial instruments and to invest not only in banks or in the market, but invest in possible unicorns and startups. So you can find, if you don't know business angels, you can find them in different clubs of business angels. The clubs help you to prepare all the documents I've said before, but they often take commission, or you may say finder's fee, if you actually attract an investor from their club. Also, the club help you to, they gather investors and they gather startups which often can pitch in those clubs. And I found three business angels in business clubs. Then there are several groups on Facebook and in other social media where business angels search for startups. They talk to each other, they analyze the trends. It's a good thing to look for business angels there. And of course, it's very important to go to events. Now these are online events, but Usually they are offline, and you approach people and you tell about the startups in 3 or 4 sentences, and tell about yourself. And often you can find potential investor on such events. Then, of course, is the venture funds. You should analyze if first of all, you analyze if the fund the fund works with your sector of startup, and you put in your pool of investors only the funds that may actually invest in you, because spending time on funds that work with other types of startups wouldn't be appropriate, and you will lose time. Then corporations, now they often invest in startups because it's a way of growth for corporations. You know it as well, but many of startups don't think about approaching corporations, although it's a good instrument for attracting investors. Accelerators is a accelerator or incubators are a good way of working on your business model, about making a good pitch, and about meeting a potential investor, because accelerators are interested into showing your company to the most possible number of potential investors. And such instrument as grant, actually, personally, I never have used it, but I know people and I know startups that have began with grants, and they found this instrument useful. There are many European grants, there are many grants in Russia that may help your startup to grow, I think, as well as in many other countries. When you have met with a potential investor and you had a fruitful conversation, you should send a follow-up, so a letter, a mail, and or maybe in WhatsApp or Telegram. You send all the information you have told the investor. You send your memo. You send all the fresh data. So you may say that the last numbers of our company are such and such. You send all the analytics, and the information should be up to date. Don't send a presentation or a financial model that is outdated. Send only the last minute information. Ask for feedback in all your communication with the potential investor. Ask for a feedback, even if you see that the investor is not so interested. Ask why, because you may make your communication better after that. You check your information, you check all your documents, and you may make it better. And receiving feedback is crucial in that. Show confidence in yourself, believe in your project, and tell the investor that this is the only project you work on, because when investors hear that you have multiple projects, they won't invest in your company. Usually it's like that. Also, as I said before in the beginning, allocate a period of time. So you should understand for yourself that you attract investments and you want to close the round in 3 months, not within a year. Because if investors see that you circle around the investors and you can't raise money, they will understand that no one wants to offer you funds, the first thing. And the second thing, you won't have time to actually develop your company. When the investor is interested and you are ready to close the deal, try not to only speak about the potential price for your company, the capitalization, but talk about the possibilities that you offer the investor apart from the capitalization. Because in the beginning of the startup, it's often very difficult to find the proper value for a company. And if the value is wrong, higher or lower, it will be quite difficult to further attract the next round. So think about it and discuss all the options for investments in a term sheet. Ask the investor to send you a term sheet and try to work on the term sheet with yourself and with your lawyers. That is the next point. Try to find your lawyers. There are many lawyers that want to work with startups, and then they don't offer high prices. So you should have a person that will understand the documents and will help you to discuss the potential agreement, the further agreement with your investor. And of course, be proactive. Try to always move forward. Don't wait the investor to be active. Be active yourself. If you happen and when you close the round, first of all, it's very often a big mistake of many companies. They begin to spend money often without discussing it with the investor. And don't be afraid to discuss it with the investor, because he is interested that you earn and he will earn as well. So try to not discuss every step with the investor, but at least have each month's call, send all the updated information. There are many tools in the internet that help you to keep the investor update. So try to stay in touch with your investor. Don't take the money and go. Be proactive here as well. Invite professionals from the market. Invite the friends you know, the experts you know, to help you. Many people are keen and happy to consult you and to help your startup to grow. You always should have a roadmap. The roadmap that you have had in your memo, you can update it, but you always should have a roadmap that you see, that your team sees, and that the investor can see as well. I will be happy to answer to your questions here after the presentation, and in all the social media, on Facebook, in Telegram, on my email as well. Here, if you put your camera on this QR code, you can add my contacts to your phone book. So I will be happy to answer to your questions. I hope that my pronunciation was understandable, and that you got the idea of how to raise the capital.
Thank you, Efim. Thank you very much. It was a really useful speech. And now I'm sure that our participants has a lot of questions.
Yeah, I see questions in the chat.
Yeah, I can announce them, or you can do it.
Also, I wanted to add that I will be happy to advise you on your memo if you send me after the presentation. I like to see other memos and help it make it better, and to also learn from you, from all the other businessmen. So I will read the question. We are afraid our crew has a ton of questions. In your opinion, which startup has successfully run a fundraising campaign over the past 2-3 years? How to figure out which investment fund is right for your startup? What risk do you bear as an entrepreneur when accepting money from an investor? So let's begin from the first question. Which startup has successfully run a fundraising campaign over the last 2-3 years? You know, almost every day, venture funds, they close deals with startups in Russia and everywhere around the world. You may find this information on Crunchbase, or this website called Crunchbase. I will type it. And on AngelCo. And in Russia, it's RusBase. So you may find all the latest information there. How to figure out which investment fund is right for your startup? As I said before, you should analyze the you should carefully analyze the investors. First of all, you go to the website and look to the areas, the sectors of economy, the sectors of startup which are interesting for this venture fund. Secondly, you find the team of this venture fund and Google the team and search for interviews often in the latest interviews, the team, the founders, the CEOs of funds, they talk about the areas they are interested in and the startups they look to. The next questions: what risk do you bear as an entrepreneur? You bear many risks. As I said, you can make a wrong capitalization and you won't be able to raise your next round because it was too high, or you will give it higher share to the investor and it will be difficult to work with that investor, or you will have the agreement which will work only for the investor, not for you. And here you, as I said, you should have your lawyer. You always should work with your lawyer. If you don't have money for the lawyer, you ask the investor to use the potential investment, the part of this investment for a lawyer. It's completely normal.
Yeah, thank you. There are some more questions as I see.
How can we learn the skill of blurbing? So it's not a skill actually. You may also Google what is a blurb, and you may call it teaser. You go to your friends and family and try to explain the idea of your business to them, and try to receive feedback. Within this feedback, you will understand how to make this better, and you will develop a really good blurb. If you send me a message later, I will send you example of my blurb.
Oh, it's really useful. Yeah, thank you. We will write to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And there is a question: what is the best type of investors?
What is the best?
Yeah, controversial one. Yeah.
There are two best. I think there are two best types of investors. The first best type is the investor which gives money and then doesn't ask you question. But this investor won't help you to grow. And often it will be difficult to ask this investor to come to sign documents, etc. Then the second type of investor is that investor which is called smart money, that will not only bring money, but will bring his expertise, his connections, his potential future interest to other investors, that will be known in the market, that will be a benchmark for other investors, that if that investor gave you money, you are a really good and nice startup, and they also will be interested in working with you.
Yeah, thank you. And there is one more question.
I can hear you. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah. It was something with internet connection. Hassan, you asked to ask a question while opening
Hello
your mic.
again.
Yeah.
The Q&A session. So thank you so much for the great support that the referees and the judges gave us the previous session. Actually, we would like to ask you that, can we put our presentation and the slides within the Q&A?
No, it's
You can send you can send it to me on my email. This was on the previous slide, and I will reply you.
Okay, because some of our answers, both answers I gave them to the judges, they could be clarified even more as a proof, if you want to say, if we showed you the slides. You see, because we had slides for the answers ready. They were ready for the answers, clarification.
I think the rules of this session are not.
Yeah, actually,
showing slides.
It's not about this format, so you can then write to Efim and he will answer them. You so it's just like a personal question.
Gladly answer you.
Yeah. Thank you, Efim. As you said, investors are often seen as just a source of financial resources, but many of them possesses enormous expertise and know-how. So actually, sometimes it is the main benefit. So thank you a lot. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.